Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Right now, the fishing show going on at the Knoxville Expo Center today. I don't think it's been called on the count of clean roads, so no icy roads. So I'm guessing the fishing show is going on Knoxville Expo Center. Either way, great deals are always available from Madisonville Marine. They're going to have a bunch of boats over there. But starting on Monday, they're going to have a ton of boats, as they always do, right back down there at Madisonville Marine, their huge showroom. Best selection of boats anywhere in eastern Tennessee. But also, you get great rebates on Skeeter, great rebates on G3, on Yamaha Outboard Motors, Madisonville Marine. All right, I want to welcome in next member of our panel, Mark Pankratz. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
A week ago, we were talking about Tennessee's big road win. It was a breakthrough on the road, and then they come home and they play Vanderbilt, and they get crushed. They look terrible, look awful. Worst game of the year. Fans outraged, Then 3 days later, wow, they beat a ranked South Carolina team that had only lost once before. They look great. They play fantastic. I often say that basketball's an overanalyzed sport because basically, if you're hitting your shots, you win. If you don't hit your shots, you lose. I would say that's kind of what you saw this week. Your take on what happened?
Well, I think it's overanalyzed, but also underanalyzed if it can be the same thing, because most of the fan base here just sees the win or the loss. They don't see that Vanderbilt earlier had missed some guys. They had to play with a full roster. They don't see that South Carolina's RPI right now is 212, although they are a ranked team. But Vanderbilt, that game, they shot lights out. Tennessee, for some reason, we doubled down on the post on Damian Jones, which freed up open shooters. They got a good start early, and they just ran away with it because we didn't shoot the ball well, like you said, and they did. And then South Carolina, we come out and we got a guy named Kevin Punter who just knocks down a bunch of three-pointers, and offensively and just energy-wise, it was much, much greater than it was on Vanderbilt or against Vanderbilt on Tuesday night.
The interesting thing is now Vanderbilt was killing it from three-point range, but South Carolina actually shot like 1% better from the floor than Vanderbilt did, which you wouldn't have guessed from looking at that game. The big difference was you got to the foul line all day long and you knocked them down one after another. And then also Kevin Punter, as Mark said, went off. Your thoughts on Punter's performance over there?
Well, he was kind of struggling through the first half, but he hit that first three right after halftime, then hit another one, and like he said, that it's up here, and when you hit a couple, he's a confident kid.
Well, he's the guy you want the ball in his hands too late because he's going to hit the free throws, and he did. Was it 14 or 15 at the foul line?
Yeah, he missed one.
Yeah, so
it rammed in and out.
I'll take 14 out of 15. But also, Tennessee hit their first 7 threes to start the second half.
Yes.
And when they did that, and they were that hot, and you saw them build that lead, and that confidence was there, and then they figured out how to close it because they ain't going to let this one get away, right, man?
Right.
I had a fan, Ken Gibson, sent me a tweet that said it was, the night off on Wednesday really helped Tennessee yesterday, taking the Vanderbilt game off. Yeah. Good one, Ken. When you look at this performance, again, I'll just say this. It's in football, you've got one game a week. So, yes, there's going to be some ups and downs. But in basketball, you really can't ride the roller coaster because you will have ups and downs in the same week.
Yeah, you'll finish 500.
Yeah, you can't do it. Looking at this team, closer to the Vanderbilt performance, closer to the South Carolina performance, or somewhere in the middle?
I think closer to the South Carolina just because that Vanderbilt performance was just that bad.
Right.
I think we are a better team than we anticipated. Guys, even Kyle Alexander yesterday, the improvement that you saw with him with I think 6 or 8 rebounds in just a few minutes of playing. This team is getting better, and so they're closer to the South Carolina performance than they are Vanderbilt.
Frank Martin, very complimentary of Rick Barnes yesterday. And Frank Martin's the guy that always looks like he's going to punch somebody out. So to hear him say nice things about someone, but he made a comment at the end of that game, it's good to see a guy like Rick Barnes coaching, and he's having fun. His kids are excited. I thought that was an interesting comment from a guy who coached against Barnes in the Big 12, of course. Thoughts on Rick Barnes? I thought it was good in the middle of the week. I know you wrote a column on this, Mike, that included a lot of quotes from Barnes. We haven't talked about it here. This guy's incredibly honest. I mean, there's not a lot of coach speak. You get coach speak from some guys. Butch Jones, you get some Butchisms. There aren't any real Barnesisms other than he kind of lays it out there the way it lays is how he calls it.
He's great from a media standpoint. I got to say, we all enjoy how candid he is, and the lack of coach speak, so to speak. And I suspect that's partly him, and it's partly. I'll bet if you went back to a 40-year-old Rick Barnes, it might not have been quite that way. But he's at a good point in his career now, where he's comfortable doing that.
What do you guys think? Rick Barnes, his honesty has surprised me a little bit. I didn't realize that he just kind of straight shooter. Is it taking anybody else by surprise a little bit, or am I out there on my own on a limb?
Well, no, I'm a little bit, because I didn't really know what to expect coming from Texas.
Yeah.
And so I've appreciated it. And the thing is that I know there have been some fans that have said, well, no, wait a minute. He's calling these players out too much. Well, I don't think he says in the media anything he's not telling his own players. And he also said that if you watch those film sessions, it might rate in the funniest home videos, because they get after it on those film sessions. I think that'd be fun to watch.
Well, and the other thing, why he can do that and be so honest with them is it's just because it's just like your kids. You gotta be a disciplinarian, but then you gotta love on them.
Yeah.
And so he's hard on them and he tells them the truth, but then he's spending an hour with them at night, just sitting around hanging out with them having dinner.
And he's not afraid to also throw praise their way when they deserve it.
And he's also hard on himself. I mean,
Yes.
How many times have we heard him say, hey, I need to do a better job with this?
Yeah.
And then he makes a substitution yesterday. He's mic'd up and he says, hey, I'm going to give you a chance. Get in there and show me what you can do.
Yeah, I'm impressed by it, especially at a school where people complain about butchisms and everything's a coach speak. This guy's the complete opposite. Probably between the two would be the right average for most coaches. But anyway, when we come back, go ahead.
Just one quick thing. Go back to basketball media day in October. First time he met with us, he did a film session, a video session, showing what he likes to do and what he's thinking like. And I thought that was great. I've never had a coach do that.
It's incredibly open. All right. Mark is going to scout for us 3 Vol players, just as an opposing coach would. That's when we come back on the Sports Source.
From East Tennessee to the Carolinas, no job is too big for Benedict Construction. Patios and decks, custom remodels, even custom homes. With a reputation for excellence, rely on the custom work of Benedict Construction.